Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to, streamline your intelligence. We take the complex stuff, break it down, and basically give you the shortcut to getting it.
That's the plan.
And today we are diving headfirst into the new Thursday Murder Club book, Richard Osman's The Impossible Fortune, the fifth one.
Yep. Just published September 2025. And this isn't just like a quick plot summary. We've really pulled together an analysis looking at the plot, the characters, where they are now.
And crucially, how this familiar, cozy group deals with something very, very modern, a high-stakes digital crime.
Exactly. We want to explore that intersection. The comfort of Cooper's Chase meeting this really contemporary threat, and also the personal arcs.
Yeah.
They're huge this time.
Right. So our mission today is to get you, the listener, fully up to speed. We'll unpack the structure, the whole deal with this uncrackable code, and the really deep emotional stuff happening underneath.
Yeah, how Elizabeth, Joyce, Ron, and Ibrahim handled this new case while they're also dealing with some pretty significant personal challenges.
That's actually a great starting point. The analysis we looked at really emphasizes that before any crime happens, the personal lives of the quartet are, well, they're already complicated.
Oh, definitely. It's like the foundation. 5 books in, Osman seems to be grounding this external digital mystery in their internal struggles. Grief, family stuff. It sets the tone.
Okay, let's start right there then. Section 1, the players and their preoccupations. Before any codes or disappearances, what's going on with the core 4?
Well, the big one, highlighted everywhere, is Elizabeth, the ex-spy. Her husband, Stephen, died in the last book.
Right.
And the sources are really clear. She is grappling significantly with that grief. It's not just mentioned. It's described as a major emotional undercurrent for her throughout the whole book.
That feels huge for her. Elizabeth is always the one in control, the strategist, kind of cool and detached because of her past.
Exactly. So putting her right in the middle of this raw, active grief.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It raises questions about how that affects her, her methods, her famous compartmentalization.
Can she still be that cold, calculating leader when she's dealing with such intense personal pain? It must change things.
Well, that seems to be the tension, right? Grief is inherently about loss of control. It pulls you inward. But solving a complex crime, that needs total external focus, control.
So maybe the investigation is a distraction, a way to cope.
Could be. Or maybe it's the only thing big enough to demand her attention, pull her out of that internal space. Her vulnerability here, it adds this really powerful new layer. We're seeing her maybe fight for justice, but also maybe fight for her own recovery at the same time.
And then, in complete contrast, you've got Joyce.
Classic Osman, right? While Elizabeth is deep in grief, Joyce, the former nurse, is neck deep in wedding planning. Her daughter Joanna's wedding.
All the domestic chaos venues, seating charts.
Yeah, exactly. And it works as this perfect counterweight. It keeps the story from getting too dark. Joyce's, meticulous, sometimes funny way of handling all that stuff. It brings the humor, the warmth. It keeps it feeling like Cooper's Chase.
Okay, what about the men? Ron and Ibrahim. The sources mention they've got their own issues, too.
Yeah, Ron Ritchie, the former union guy, he's dealing with some family things. The specifics aren't fully detailed in the summary analysis, but it's another personal pressure point.
Ibrahim, the psychiatrist.
Ibrahim's arc is really interesting, especially thinking about the main mystery later. He's actually extended his work. He's helping a recent parolee, providing support.
Oh, wow. So he's actively involved in rehabilitation, second chances?
Exactly. Which means he's focused intensely on things like trust, judgment, the possibility of betrayal, but on this very personal one-to-one level.
Huh. So he's working on building trust with someone society has already judged, right as the club is about to get pulled into a case where figuring out who to trust is everything.
Precisely. It's like a thematic setup. His expertise in human motivation, deception, genuine change, it directly mirrors the questions they'll face with the main mystery. It really raises the personal stakes for him when they have to decide who's telling the truth later on.
Okay, before we get to the mystery itself, who are the key supporting players introduced early on? Obviously, Joanna, the bride.
Right, the wedding is the setting.
Yeah.
But the analysis flags 2 new people as instrumental. Nick, who's the best man,
Okay.
and Holly, who is Nick's business partner.
Business partners. That immediately suggests the stakes might be professional, financial.
Definitely. Their connection is the entry point for the whole fortune plotline. And, of course, you've got the usual police contacts, Donna and Chris. Their roles get complicated because the club takes this one on privately, at least initially.
So the setup really emphasizes grounding this potentially huge techie mystery in these very specific, very human struggles. Elizabeth's grief, Joyce's wedding stress, Ibrahim's focus on trust.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway from this setup analysis. It makes the external threat feel more potent because it's intruding on these vulnerable personal lives. It's not just a puzzle, it's happening to them.
It's that balance, right? The internal life versus the external danger.
Exactly. If it was just a straight techno thriller, it wouldn't feel like a Thursday Murder Club book. The fact that Elizabeth's healing journey is as central as catching the bad guys is what makes it work.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly because that relative quiet, even the wedding chaos, it gets completely shattered. Which brings us to section 2, the inciting incident and the core mystery. We're calling this the uncrackable code.
Right. So the wedding happens. Things are maybe settling down a bit, relatively speaking, for this group.
And then comes the shift. The analysis points to a really critical moment. Elizabeth has a private meeting with Nick, the best man.
Yeah, after the main festivities. And he doesn't come to her with congratulations. He comes with a confession, a really terrifying one.
He tells her someone tried to kill him that morning.
Just like that. The danger isn't theoretical anymore. It's immediate, violent, and it crashes right into their world. Life and death stakes right after the wedding cake.
And the crucial detail here, he doesn't call the police. He specifically seeks out Elizabeth. Why is that so important?
Oh, it's everything. It's the trigger for the whole plot, really.
Yeah.
If you'd gone to Donna and Chris, it's a police case. The club assists. But because he goes to Elizabeth.
It validates her reputation, her unique skills.
Totally. He knows who she is, what she can do. Maybe he needs her discretion. Maybe he's scared the police can't protect him. Or maybe there's something else motivating him. But asking her directly creates this immediate bond, this trust, which is vital, especially given where Elizabeth is emotionally.
And then things escalate immediately. He confesses, and then he vanishes.
Right, just gone. Which confirms his fears were absolutely real. It shifts from attempted murder to a likely kidnapping or forced disappearance.
And at the same time, this idea of an uncrackable code emerges, tied directly to Nick and his business partner, Holly.
Yeah, the code is linked to this fortune. The analysis just describes it as extremely valuable. That's the prize. That's why someone wants Nick dead or gone. And it's protected by this code.
So this is the shift. It's not a stolen necklace or a body in the library. It's information, digital access, something abstract locked behind this code.
Exactly. It moves it into that modern thriller territory. The challenge isn't finding a physical object. It's cracking or forcing someone to reveal this conceptual key, an uncrackable code. That's the ultimate digital vault.
Which must force the club to change their approach, right? They can't just dust for prints.
Completely. If the code really is uncrackable by tech means, the villains have limited options. Either get rid of Nick and Holly, the keepers of the code.
Or capture them and force them to talk, pressure them.
Exactly. So the stakes become intensely personal and psychological. It's about protecting Nick, finding him, and figuring out how to neutralize the threat without giving up the code. It's about minds, not just clues.
Okay, this idea of a conceptual crime, a fortune locked behind a code, that leads us straight into section 3. The investigation, modern crime, and character agency. We need to really dig into how they tackle this.
Right, so the club takes this on, and it's way more than just finding Nick. The analysis breaks down their mission into, like, 3 main parts.
Okay, what are they?
1, find Nick, hopefully alive, obvious but urgent. 2, figure out what this code actually protects. What is the fortune, really, and how valuable is it? 3, untangle the web. Who wants it? Why? Who are the suspects connected to Nick's business, his life? There are bound to be red herrings.
And the fascinating thing is how they weave this investigation into their ongoing personal stuff. It's not like Elizabeth puts her grief on hold.
Not at all. That's the structural cleverness mentioned. Her drive for control, maybe fueled by grief, pushes the investigation. Joyce, fresh off managing wedding logistics, turns out to be great at managing the flow of information, maybe tracking suspects.
So their personal lives almost become tools for the investigation.
In a way, yeah. Ibrahim's work with the parolee sharpens his skills in assessing trustworthiness, reading people under pressure. Ron, with his union background, probably has insights into power plays, betrayals within organizations, which might be relevant if Nick's business is involved.
They're solving this very modern crime using the sum of their life experiences.
Exactly. They remain whole people dealing with real life while also tackling this, high-tech threat.
Okay, let's spend some real time on these modern elements. The analysis mentions codes, digital secrecy, business security, and specifically cryptocurrency-like elements. What does that imply?
Right. That's a key phrase. If the fortune is crypto-like, that changes everything. We're not talking about money in a bank account that Donna could maybe trace.
No.
No. Think blockchain, decentralized assets. The ownership isn't a record somewhere. It's proven by possessing a private key, a long string of characters, or a sequence of words, a seed phrase. That's the uncrackable code.
Ah, so the code isn't just a password to get to the money. The code is the money, conceptually.
Pretty much. Or at least the absolute irrevocable key to it. Lose the key, the fortune might be lost forever, even to the owners. Transfer the key, you transfer the fortune. Instantly, globally, maybe untraceably.
Okay, that explains why just killing Nick might not work for the villains.
Exactly. If they kill him and he hasn't revealed the key, or is not written down somewhere they can find, the fortune could become inaccessible. Poof. Gone.
So they need him alive. They need to coerce him. Or Holly.
Right. It becomes a game of psychological pressure, maybe torture, maybe manipulation. It's about breaking the person to get the secret. This shifts the club's job dramatically. It's less about finding evidence and more about protecting the people who hold the knowledge.
And the business security angle suggests this isn't just random thugs. It could be sophisticated players, corporate rivals, hackers.
Could be. Maybe the fortune is intellectual property, or a stake in some bleeding-edge tech venture, or just a massive illicit crypto hoard. The suspects could be anywhere, operating digitally across borders. It's definitely a step up from, disputes over planning permission at Cooper's Chase.
Which is why their unique blend of skills becomes so crucial. They can't just rely on standard police work.
Right. Ron understands organizational fights and maybe corporate espionage. Ibrahim gets the psychology of greed, fear, coercion. Elizabeth uses her intelligence skills, not for code breaking, but maybe for social engineering, figuring out who knows what, who's lying, how to predict the target, or extract the info safely.
This really plays into that theme the analysis highlights, later life agency. They aren't just consultants here, they're driving the whole thing.
Absolutely. The sources are very clear on this. They're described as sharp, essential, using their decades of lived experience as their primary weapon. It's a strong statement about valuing that wisdom.
They can connect dots others might miss, right? A wedding detail, something Ibrahim notices about his parolee, an old spy tactic.
Exactly. They synthesize information in a way pure tech skills or standard procedure might not achieve. They understand human nature, greed, love, betrayal, which is often the weakest link in any security system, digital or otherwise.
They're tackling this incredibly complex, modern problem by being, well, themselves. Fully realized people with histories.
And that vitality, that refusal to be sidelined by age or circumstance, it sets up the climax beautifully. The tension builds around figuring out what the fortune really is, who actually holds the key or parts of it, and crucially, who can be trusted.
Especially for Elizabeth, right? Trust must be a huge issue for her now.
Massive. After losing Stephen, the person she trusted implicitly, navigating a case built on lies and potential betrayal, it's incredibly potent.
And that tension around trust, especially concerning Nick, leads us into the final section. Section 4, the revelation, the stakes, and the reader experience.
Right. And here the analysis gives us a real kicker without spoiling the exact plot resolution. It says the truth comes out, justice is served. But Nick, the guy who started it all by begging Elizabeth for help, he's described as not purely a victim.
Wow. Okay. That changes everything. The person they poured all their effort into saving might have been part of the problem.
Seems like it. It completely reframes the whole investigation. They risked themselves, used their connections, dived into this dangerous digital world for someone who was potentially complicit, maybe manipulative.
That's a huge moral curveball for the club, especially Elizabeth. Dealing with grief, she takes on this mission based on trust, only to find, what? Betrayal, complicity.
It must be jarring. Was he playing them? Was he genuinely scared but also trying to cover his own tracks? Did he create the situation? The analysis suggests layers of deception are uncovered, hidden motives. Maybe he wasn't just running from danger, but also running with secrets.
So the resolution isn't just who done it, but what was Nick's real role?
Exactly. And that elevates the stakes beyond just the money or the code. It becomes about the nature of trust itself, about judgment. When someone asks for help, how much do you question their story? Does the club's sense of justice apply differently if the victim manipulated them?
It moves it from a cozy puzzle to something much murkier ethically.
Definitely. It touches on moral relativism. the complexities of victimhood.
Okay, but amidst all this complexity, the analysis also stresses what fans love. Osman's ability to balance the darkness with warmth and humor.
Yeah, that signature blend is apparently still very much there. The suspense is real, the threat feels genuine, but you still have the character interactions, the humor, the heart. That's the core appeal for longtime readers.
The focus remains on the character's growth, right? Seeing Elizabeth navigate her grief, Joyce handle her family, Ibrahim apply his insights.
Absolutely. The fans are invested in them. The mystery is the stage on which their personal stories play out. The analysis suggests this book delivers on that the characters drive the narrative, they aren't just plot devices.
Now, let's touch on that warning the analysis included potential complexity. Why might some readers find this one a bit complex, as the source put it?
Well, just think about everything we've discussed. You've got Elizabeth's deep grief arc running alongside Ron's family issues, Joyce's wedding fallout, Ibrahim's parolee subplot,
Okay.
then layer on top a missing person case, this abstract, uncrackable code concept, probably tied to crypto or digital finance, multiple suspects, likely connected to a complex business. It's a lot of threads to keep track of simultaneously.
It sounds like you really need to pay attention to both the personal and the plot mechanics because they're constantly influencing each other.
Exactly. Missing a nuance in, say, Ibrahim's thoughts on trust might mean you miss a clue about Nick's reliability later. It's intricate. The analysis suggests it's intentional, part of the richness, but yeah, requires focus.
And the mystery itself. Clever, but maybe.
Hmm.
Predictable in parts for genre fans.
That's the other point raised. While modern and clever, some elements, particularly around betrayal and red herrings, might follow patterns familiar to seasoned mystery readers. It seems the priority is less about stumping the reader completely and more about the emotional journey and the how and why rather than just the who. Character over pure puzzle.
So, summing it all up, what's the core appeal of The Impossible Fortune? What's the big takeaway for someone deciding whether to jump in?
I think it's the ambition, really. Takes these characters we know and love, deep in their relatable human dramas, grief, family, and throws them into this incredibly current, high-stakes, high-tech mystery and uncrackable code, digital fortunes.
So, you get the familiar comfort, but also something genuinely new and challenging for them.
Precisely, it's that mix. And it shows the club stepping up yet again, proving their combined life experience is their greatest asset against both personal loss and these very modern, almost impersonal digital threats.
Their wisdom versus the algorithm, in a way.
Kinda, yeah. And that brings us to a final thought, something for you to maybe chew on, building on that idea of trust and Nick's ambiguous role.
Okay, let's hear it.
Given that the whole thing starts with Nick desperately asking Elizabeth for help, but he ends up being revealed as not purely a victim,
Right.
how does the club's ultimate success measure up? Was the real victory cracking the code and dealing with the external threat? Or was it figuring out the truth about Nick himself, the person they initially set out to save?
So solving the technical puzzle versus solving the human puzzle, which
Yeah.
was harder, which mattered more to them.
Exactly. And does uncovering that betrayal, right when Elizabeth is so vulnerable, change them? Does it harden their moral compass or make it more complicated? Does success come at the cost of a little more cynicism about people?
That's a really interesting question to leave things on. A classic Cooper's Chase dilemma, really.
It seems like it.
Well, thank you for that deep dive into The Impossible Fortune. Hopefully this gives everyone listening a solid head start on the twists and turns.
My pleasure. We'll see you next time.